Have you ever felt like you're always stuck in hurtful relationships where you're the one giving but rarely receiving? Have you ever wondered why manipulators, takers, and users keep gravitating toward you? This doesn't mean you're weak or easy to take advantage of. On the contrary, it's your best qualities, your compassion, generosity, and deep empathy that unintentionally act as a magnet for narcissists. Like moths drawn to a flame, narcissists are attracted to your kindness and sincerity, not to appreciate it, but to exploit it. This is the bitter paradox of life. Sometimes your greatest strength, your kindness, can also be what makes you most vulnerable. Narcissists are masters of manipulation. They have an uncanny ability to read and identify people who can fulfill their endless need for admiration and control. They are not looking for genuine love. They are seeking a steady supply of attention, easy forgiveness, or even material benefits. And if you possess qualities they can exploit, they won't hesitate to pull you into their cycle of manipulation. But here's the important thing to remember. Being targeted by a narcissist does not define who you are. What truly matters is recognizing the red flags, breaking free from toxic patterns, and learning to protect your own worth. In this video, we'll explore 6 types of people who frequently become prey to narcissists. You may recognize some of these traits in yourself or in the people you love. Stay until the end, because understanding this can not only help you escape toxic relationships, but also empower you to live a happier and more fulfilling life. Number 1. The empath. Surely many of us have encountered people with boundless empathy. They genuinely care, listen attentively, and are always ready to help others. However, there is a sad reality. This very kindness often turns them into a magnet for narcissists, trapping them in an emotional whirlwind that is difficult to escape. So why does this happen? What makes empaths so susceptible to toxic relationships with narcissists? Let's dive deeper into the analysis. First, it's important to understand narcissists. They are individuals with an excessive sense of self-importance, constantly craving attention and admiration from others. The key issue is that they lack empathy and frequently exploit those around them to serve their own needs. To them, relationships are not about genuine human connections, but rather a tool to reinforce their own self-importance. On the other hand, empaths have an innate ability to deeply sense and understand other people's emotions. They tend to prioritize the needs of others over their own, believing that understanding and love can heal all wounds. They listen, they are patient, and most importantly, they do not easily give up on people. Even when those very people keep hurting them, this creates a dangerous cycle. Narcissists seek admiration, submission, and unlimited attention. They want to be the center of the universe and be validated in every situation. Meanwhile, empaths naturally listen and try to understand, even when faced with manipulative or harmful behavior. As a result, empaths become the perfect source of emotional supply for narcissists. Imagine a familiar scenario. A narcissist complains about their hardships, about being treated unfairly, about how they deserve more love and appreciation. An empath in response will instantly offer genuine words of comfort. "You're amazing. I'd love to hear more about your story," or "It sounds like you've had a really tough day." These words for a narcissist act like a dose of emotional fuel, reinforcing their self-imposed. They will keep coming back to the empath for validation and emotional reassurance. But here's the problem. This relationship is entirely one-sided. The narcissist has no intention of reciprocating the care and kindness they receive. They only take, never give. They only receive, never offer anything in return. This dynamic is like a one-way street, where the more the empath tries to help, the deeper they get trapped in an endless loop. The sad part is that empaths often don't realize they are being exploited. They believe that if they are more patient, listen more, or love harder, the narcissist will eventually change. But the reality is quite the opposite. The more they accommodate, the more they lose themselves. They become emotionally and physically drained, lose their self-confidence, and start to feel worthless. So how can this cycle be broken? The most crucial step is for empaths to learn how to set boundaries. Not everyone deserves their unconditional care and attention. Ask yourself, is this relationship balanced? Am I being heard and respected, or am I just carrying the emotional burdens of someone else? Once they recognize this pattern, they can protect themselves from toxic relationships. Are you someone who feels too much? Let me know in the comments after watching this video. Number 2. The highly sensitive person. Highly sensitive people often attract narcissists in a dangerously subtle way without even realizing it. They are not only sensitive to their surroundings but also deeply empathetic toward the pain and suffering of others. This very empathy, however, becomes their greatest weakness, making them prime targets for manipulators. When a narcissist pretends to be distressed, plays the victim, or acts desperate, a highly sensitive person simply cannot stand by. They feel compelled to help, to comfort, and even to sacrifice themselves to please the narcissist. This creates a dangerous cycle where the narcissist continuously absorbs attention and feeds their inflated ego, while the sensitive person becomes emotionally drained. Narcissists are masters of emotional manipulation, and they are fully aware that sensitive people will not easily abandon someone who appears to be in pain. This is why they frequently stage dramatic, sorrowful performances to keep the sensitive person hooked, making them feel responsible for offering help. But what happens when the sensitive person starts questioning, am I truly responsible for their happiness? Or, why am I always the one suffering in this relationship? The moment these questions arise is the beginning of their awakening. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "The only person you can control is yourself." This is a powerful reminder that no matter how deep one's empathy runs, they cannot control or change others, especially those who have no intention of changing. A narcissist will not become a better person because of your kindness. Instead, they will exploit it to further manipulate and control you. Therefore, it is crucial to understand that setting boundaries is not selfish. It is an act of self-preservation and mental well-being. In addition to deep empathy, highly sensitive individuals often tend to be introspective, emotionally driven, and easily influenced by their environment. This, unfortunately, gives narcissists an even greater advantage. As they are experts at psychological manipulation, they know how to plant seeds of doubt, making the sensitive person feel guilty or inadequate. Over time, the victim begins to question themselves, blaming their own actions whenever the relationship encounters problems, rather than recognizing that the narcissist is the true source of the toxicity. But what happens when a highly sensitive person decides to establish boundaries? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Once a sensitive person recognizes their worth and decides not to allow the narcissist to continue manipulating them, they slowly regain control over their emotions. When they become strong enough to say no, the narcissist loses their power. So how can highly sensitive people protect themselves from narcissistic manipulation? First, they must learn to recognize the signs of emotional manipulation, such as a narcissist constantly playing the victim, making them feel guilty, or using emotions to coerce compliance. Second, they must practice setting boundaries, knowing when to walk away and understanding that they are not obligated to meet everyone's emotional needs. Most importantly, they must realize that their kindness and empathy are precious but should never be exploited by those who do not deserve them. Ultimately, sensitivity is not a weakness, it is a strength. But it only becomes a true strength when a sensitive person learns how to use it to protect themselves, rather than allowing it to be weaponized against them by narcissists. When they learn to love themselves first, they will no longer be easy prey for manipulators. Instead, they will become strong, independent, and truly free. Number 3. People who forgive too easily. Forgiveness is a noble virtue. It brings healing, inner peace, and opens the door for positive change. However, for narcissists, forgiveness is not a lesson that prompts them to change. Instead, it becomes a free pass that allows them to repeat their harmful behaviors without facing any real consequences. Those with boundless compassion often become easy prey for manipulators, as their kindness is blatantly exploited. One crucial fact to understand is that narcissists perceive and process forgiveness in a completely different way than emotionally mature individuals. While a mature person sees forgiveness as an opportunity to make amends, take responsibility, and improve relationships, a narcissist interprets it as a sign of weakness. To them, someone who is willing to forgive simply signals that they can continue their toxic behaviors without fear of repercussions. So, how can you recognize when forgiveness is being exploited? Have you ever noticed that after each act of forgiveness, the narcissist doesn't truly change? They may offer seemingly sincere apologies, but shortly after, they repeat the same hurtful behaviors. They might justify their actions by saying, "I tried to change," or even shift the blame onto you when you confront them about their mistakes. This is not genuine remorse. It is merely a tactic to maintain control. Forgiving does not mean forgetting or enabling bad behavior. It is essential for compassionate individuals to understand that they can forgive while also setting boundaries to protect themselves. You can forgive someone for their wrongdoing, but that does not mean you have to allow them to continue harming you. Forgiveness should come with awareness and clear limits. One way to achieve this is by establishing firm boundaries. For instance, if a friend betrays your trust, you might say, "I forgive you for what you did, but I can't continue this relationship in the same way." This is not revenge, it is self-preservation and a way to break free from a negative cycle. Narcissists despise boundaries because they weaken their control, but boundaries are exactly what you need for supporting people in your life, but boundaries are exactly what you need to avoid being taken advantage of. The philosophy of Stoicism also touches on this concept. Forgive those who have wronged you, but never forget the lesson. This emphasizes that forgiveness does not mean you have to return to the same path or continue tolerating injustice. Forgiveness helps free you from resentment, but it also grants you the clarity to avoid making the same mistake twice. So, how can you practice smart forgiveness? Ask yourself these questions. Has this person truly changed after I forgave them? Have they made an effort to repair the damage they caused? Or are they simply hoping I'll overlook it? If I continue my relationship with them, will I feel safe and respected? Am I forgiving for my own peace, or do I feel pressured to do so? When you can answer these questions clearly, you'll know whether to continue the relationship or to let go. Forgiveness is not a gift for others, it is a gift for yourself. But it only holds value when it is not exploited. Did you find this video insightful? Hit the subscribe button to stay updated with more deep and valuable content like this. It's completely free and helps you expand your understanding of the world. Number 4. People who always see life through rose-colored glasses. Optimism is one of life's greatest gifts. It promotes better health, resilience, and helps us focus on a brighter future. Psychological research has shown that optimistic people tend to live longer, feel happier, and navigate adversity more effectively. However, even the most optimistic individuals must face reality, especially when it comes to toxic relationships with narcissists. So, why are narcissists drawn to optimists? The answer is simple. Optimists easily become a constant source of attention and validation for them. Narcissists thrive on admiration and need others to sustain their grandiose illusions. An optimistic person who always believes in the good in people may overlook early red flags and continue hoping that the narcissist will change for the better over time. And that is exactly the trap. Optimism can become a double-edged sword when it blinds someone to reality. Highly optimistic individuals tend to dismiss narcissistic selfishness, manipulation, and deceit, telling themselves things like, "Everything will work out fine," or "They just need more time to change." This unrealistic belief in change keeps them trapped in a cycle of emotional abuse without realizing it. But the real question is, if someone repeatedly hurts you and manipulates you, do they truly deserve your patience and trust? Imagine an optimistic woman entering a relationship with a charismatic and confident man. She sees his strengths and believes that his confidence is a sign of success and maturity. However, over time, she starts noticing that his confidence is merely a mask for arrogance, selfishness, and a need for control. She keeps giving him chances, thinking that love and patience will transform him. But the harsh reality is that narcissists do not change. They only deepen their manipulation and dominance. Eventually, she is forced to confront the truth. This relationship brings nothing but pain, and the only person who can change the situation is herself. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "You have the power to control your thoughts. No one can force you to accept a false reality unless you allow it." This means that optimism must be paired with awareness. Being optimistic does not mean ignoring reality or deceiving yourself. It means looking at life with a positive mindset while maintaining the clarity to avoid being manipulated by those who do not deserve your kindness. So, how can an optimist protect themselves from narcissists? First, ask yourself, am I seeing this person as they truly are, or am I painting them in the image of who I want them to be? If you constantly forgive toxic behavior while hoping they will change, you might be caught in your own optimism trap. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, emphasized, "We cannot control others, but we can control how we respond to them." This means that while you cannot change a narcissist, you can choose how you deal with them. If you recognize that you are being taken advantage of, set firm boundaries and protect yourself. Remember, optimism does not mean allowing yourself to be hurt over and over again. The key takeaway here is, stay optimistic about life, but don't let your optimism turn into naivety. Learn to distinguish between having faith in the good and denying reality. You deserve relationships that bring you joy and peace, not those that leave you feeling drained and manipulated. Optimism is not about seeing the world through rose-colored glasses. It's about having the wisdom to see reality clearly and the courage to act in your best interest. Number 5. The savior complex. Those who want to rescue the world. In a world full of pain and suffering, kindness and helping others are truly admirable values. But what happens when that kindness is misplaced? When those with a deep desire to save everyone unknowingly become a fuel source for narcissists. This is a dangerous cycle that many fail to recognize until they are already trapped in it. One of the defining traits of empathetic individuals is their urge to help and heal others, even those who don't truly want to be helped. They believe that if they just try hard enough, give enough love, and sacrifice enough, they can change someone for the better. And so begins the tango between the rescuer and the narcissist. What they don't realize is that they are the ones who are actually trapped in a dangerous game. The rescuer believes they can bring out the best in others, that they can help the narcissist overcome their wounds and become a better person. What they fail to see is that, in reality, they are simply feeding into the narcissist's manipulative cycle. Narcissists require a constant supply of attention, admiration, and validation, and the rescuer is the perfect candidate to fulfill that role. However, the rescuer's kindness does not just serve as an energy source for the narcissist, it can also trigger their rage. Why? Because when someone tries to rescue a narcissist, it implies that the narcissist has problems that need fixing, that they need help. And for someone with an inflated ego, this is an insult they cannot tolerate. They feel belittled, disrespected, and they retaliate, either with anger or more sophisticated manipulation. Imagine a deeply empathetic woman who always wants to help those around her. She meets a seemingly confident and successful man who carries hidden emotional wounds. She believes she can help him heal, that she can help him change and overcome his struggles. So she gives him her time, her care, and her love, only to realize that he has no intention of changing. Instead, he manipulates and controls her, exploiting her kindness to fuel his ego. Over time, she loses herself, her independence, and her self-worth, and when she finally sees the truth, she realizes that this man never wanted to be saved. He only wanted to continue playing his game. So why do rescuers fall into this cycle? Are they truly helping others, or are they trying to fill a void within themselves? This is a crucial question that deeply empathetic individuals need to ask. If you keep trying to help someone, yet they never change, or worse, they continue to hurt you, you may be directing your kindness toward the wrong person. Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, once said, "Do not waste your energy on those who are unworthy, for your time is the one thing you can never get back." This is a powerful reminder that help is only meaningful when given to those who genuinely appreciate it and are willing to change. Not everyone deserves your full devotion. So how can rescuers protect themselves from toxic relationships? First, they must accept that not everyone wants to be saved. Do not allow your kindness to become a tool for manipulation. Second, establish firm boundaries. Epictetus, another Stoic philosopher, said, "If you do not set boundaries for yourself, others will set them for you." In other words, if you do not protect yourself, someone else will take advantage of your lack of limits to manipulate and control you. Finally, helping others is a beautiful thing, but it only holds true meaning when the person on the receiving end genuinely wants to change. Do not waste your energy saving someone who does not want to be saved. Misplaced kindness doesn't just harm you, it enables toxic behaviors to continue unchecked. Remember, you deserve relationships that bring respect and value into your life, not relationships that turn you into a martyr in an endless, self-destructive cycle. Number 6. People with narcissistic parents. People who grew up in families with narcissistic parents, or both, often tend to be drawn to other narcissists in their lives. This is not a coincidence, but rather a consequence of years of psychological manipulation, growing up in a toxic environment, and having to adapt to chaos in order to survive. Their childhood was filled with manipulation, gaslighting, deception, division, chaos, and constant conflict. As children, they had no one to rely on, no right to question or resist. The only thing they could do was adapt by accepting everything, gradually associating these painful experiences with love. They learned that love was not about safety and understanding, but about struggle, control, and endless cycles of tension. This laid the foundation for toxic relationships later in life. As adults, they unconsciously seek out what is familiar. They confuse love with chaos, denial with passion. They enter romantic relationships, friendships, and even professional interactions with distorted perceptions of intimacy and connection. This makes them the perfect prey for narcissists, who crave people like them to feed their twisted egos. They are easily attracted to individuals who resemble their parents, domineering, controlling, manipulative, and always prioritizing their own needs above everything else. What happens when they fall into a relationship with a narcissist? A familiar cycle repeats itself: idealization, devaluation, discard. At first, they are praised and cherished as someone special, but soon after, the narcissist begins to manipulate, control, and use cruel tactics like gaslighting to make them doubt themselves. And when the narcissist no longer sees any value in them, they are discarded coldly. The irony is that the victims of this cycle feel something strangely familiar. Not a déjà vu from a past life, but a repetition of the same patterns from childhood, where they once tried to please their narcissistic parents in exchange for scraps of love. But can they break free from this cycle? Yes. However, it requires deep self-awareness and a willingness to change. First, they need to ask themselves, am I in love because I feel safe, or just because it feels familiar? Am I repeating old patterns simply because it's what I've known? Once they start recognizing these toxic patterns, they can take steps to free themselves from the chains of the past. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, "You cannot control others, but you can control how you respond to them." This is a powerful reminder that while our past may have shaped our unconscious reactions, we still have the ability to train ourselves to avoid getting sucked into negative cycles. Self-awareness is the key to breaking old patterns and moving towards healthier relationships. So, how can people who grew up with narcissistic parents protect themselves? First, they need to learn how to set boundaries. Those who have been hurt from a young age often don't know how to say no because they fear rejection or abandonment. However, boundaries are not selfish, they are protective. If someone continuously crosses your boundaries, manipulates you, or leaves you emotionally drained, that is a clear sign they do not deserve a place in your life. Second, they need to learn how to love themselves. Growing up in a toxic environment, they often don't recognize their own value. They become so accustomed to pleasing others that they forget they, too, deserve love in the right way. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Your worth is not determined by how others treat you, but by how you treat yourself." This means that if they do not value themselves, they will continue to allow narcissists to enter their lives and destroy them. Lastly, they need to learn how to build healthy relationships. Not everyone is a narcissist, and not everyone wants to manipulate them. Seek out people who respect your boundaries, listen to you, and do not exploit your sensitivity for their own gain. A truly healthy relationship provides safety, respect, and never makes you feel like you are not enough. Breaking free from the cycle of toxic relationships is not easy, but it is absolutely possible. Awareness is the first step, and taking action to change is the next. Remember, you are no longer the manipulated child you once were. You have the power to take control of your life and create a better future. If you realize that you or someone you love falls into one of the categories of people who are more likely to attract narcissists, don't be too worried or blame yourself. The important thing is not that you have been in toxic relationships before, but that you now know how to recognize and protect yourself. Awareness is the first step toward breaking free from manipulation and building healthier relationships. Remember, kindness, empathy, and selflessness are valuable qualities, but they only hold true meaning when given to the right people. Don't let anyone exploit your sincerity for their selfish gain. You have the right to set boundaries, say no, and choose relationships that bring positive value to your life. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any future content. And if you have experiences or thoughts to share, leave a comment below, because your story might help someone else. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.